In 321 BCE, the northern Indian subcontinent was controlled by the Nanda dynasty. They had amassed massive wealth and a sprawling standing army, but they maintained that power through heavy taxation and exploitation, leaving the local population resentful. Enter Chanakya. A teacher from Taxila, he traveled to the capital to offer political advice, only for the Nanda king to publicly humiliate him. Standing in the dust, Chanakya made a vow. He would dismantle the entire Nanda dynasty. To execute his plan, Chanakya recruited an ambitious young warrior named Chandragupta Maurya. Chanakya trained him in military strategy and diplomacy, and together they systematically neutralized the Nanda armies and seized the throne of Magadha. But toppling a regime was only the first step. To hold this massive territory together and prevent it from fracturing, Chanakya began to formalize a science of governance. He documented this science in a political treatise known as the Arthashastra. The text defines the state as a living biological organism. This is the Saptanga theory. An empire needs 7 vital limbs. The Swami, the monarch, is the head. The Amatya, the ministers, form the neural network. The Kosha, or treasury, digests revenue, feeding the Danda, the military fists that protect the body. This framework established a cold political logic. A massive army is ineffective without a treasury to pay for it, and a treasury fails without competent ministers to manage it. The Mauryan state was only as strong as its weakest organ. To see this organism functioning at peak capacity, we look to the capital of Pataliputra. A Greek ambassador named Megasthenes visited the city and recorded his observations in a book called Indica, detailing a complex and thriving urban center. Massive trade routes served as the bloodstream of the empire. Arteries like the Uttarapatha in the north and the Dakshinapatha in the south allowed spices, textiles, and iron to pump across the continent under imperial protection. Powering this flow were the srenis, or guilds. These organized associations of craftsmen acted as local economic engines, setting prices, managing wages, and even serving as courts to settle disputes. The Mauryas didn't maintain their borders through military force alone. They survived because they successfully organized, protected, and taxed a highly productive civilian economy. This machine was eventually inherited by Chandragupta's grandson, Emperor Ashoka. Ashoka pushed the military limb of his empire to its absolute limit, launching an invasion against the resistant kingdom of Kalinga. He won the territory, but at a staggering cost. Records indicate over 100,000 people were killed in the fighting, and another 150,000 were forcibly deported. Upon witnessing the carnage, Ashoka experienced a psychological break. He realized that Digvijay, conquest by the sword, resulted in the total destruction of the very subjects he intended to rule. Chanakya's blueprint had created a system capable of mass slaughter. It was a machine that functioned perfectly, but it had no programmed sense of restraint. Ashoka responded by replacing military expansion with Dhammavijay, or conquest by righteousness. He turned his personal remorse into state policy, focusing the administration on nonviolence and compassion. To communicate this shift, Ashoka erected massive stone pillars across the subcontinent. These served as an ancient mass communication system, allowing the emperor to speak directly to his subjects about ethical conduct. These edicts were written in the Brahmi script, but the language used was Prakrit, the everyday spoken tongue of the people, ensuring the message was accessible to the general public. He also established a new class of officials called the Dhamma Mahamatas. Their job was not to collect taxes, but to travel the provinces to mediate conflicts and ensure that local officials treated the population with fairness. Ashoka had repurposed the empire's anatomical infrastructure. He used its wealth and reach not to extract labor, but to distribute moral guidance and ensure the welfare of all living beings. The Mauryan Empire evolved from a ruthless anatomical blueprint for expansion into a state defined by moral restraint. It survived in the collective memory because Ashoka redirected its power towards social ethics. That legacy remains visible today. The lion capital that Ashoka placed atop his pillars was chosen as the official emblem of modern India, representing an ideal of governance grounded in peace. Ernest, this history leaves us with a question for our own time. Can a nation ensure stability and influence through compassion alone, or is the threat of military force an unavoidable requirement of power?